All right.
So, when we last left the party, it was the aftermath of a battle with a creature that, unbeknownst to them, the party had encountered previously.
What?
The
Wait, what?
Does that include me?
That does not include you, Theon. This is something that preceded the party encountering you in the Elven village.
Okay.
Oh, what did you say? I kind of missed it.
Well, when the party arrived and what what happened last time is the party basically kicked in and ambushed, along with the usage of a well-positioned sleep spell, managed to ambush the inhabitants of a hut that was buried deep within a particularly dangerous, dark, and seemingly ill-willed part of the forest. Upon passing through a kind of illusion, the party discovered this hovel, this hut, contained in the center here, the epicenter of everything that's been leading up to this point. Lola, upon hearing the voice of the inhabitant within this hut, attempted to bolt from the scene, but was restrained by Pedwin. The party then decided conversation not really an option at this point, and burst through the door, proceeding to kill everything in sight. What greeted them was a strange collection of decrepit.
Robots?
What?
Somebody's noise is making like alien robot noises. Somebody's mic is.
Is it me?
I think that's
Ow.
Giles.
I don't
Is
hear
it
any
still
robot
happening?
noises.
Wibbly wobbly.
I don't hear anything.
They make
Is
me
it-
happy.
Is it still going?
Just in the silence after you're done talking.
All right then.
All right.
So the party then proceeded to burst into this hovel where they were greeted by decrepit furniture and the conditions in which this creature lived. Hanging from the roof were nets and just collections of thread, what almost appeared to be a kind of spider silk that would contain collections of skulls and bones. There was a cauldron bubbling away with some unusual substance that's displayed bizarre properties. There were bookshelves and tables covered with a strange assortment of jars and vials and what appear to be a variety of different experiments. A cage in the corner, which the party later discovered to contain the reason for their arriving at this point, which was the search for a previous acquaintance by the name of Urun, who they managed to rescue from the building before it collapsed. The last gasps of this creature apologizing for being unable to complete her work to someone. And shortly before the building collapsed in on itself from the after effects of the battle with this creature, Morris being dragged to safety and a chest being evac'd from the building by Theon and Mindardus. The party now finds itself standing outside the crumbling ruins of this building. Splinters of wood are strewn about the area. And for a moment, what seems like a slight breeze of cool, fresh air permeates the area very briefly.
I want to take a nap.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind resting.
I would like to quickly just see if the little girl was around. And I
Alright,
forgot
a
her
little
name.
girl. Helga.
Lola
Oh.
That's right.
Lola.
has stayed outside the building, and she has been watching with great anticipation. We actually didn't see her at first, and she kind of peeked out from around a nearby tree trunk. And upon seeing the faces of the individuals that have attempted to help her thus far, she seems quite relieved. Her expression is a strange mixture of mistrust and intrigue, with almost a slight hint of excitement. And there are some features that you swear weren't there before. Her eyes appear
Features?
to be a little more sunken in than they were previously. And as she comes out from behind the tree, she appears to wipe some kind of smear from the side of her lip.
What?
She's a vampire. A vampire pod person.
I'm gonna pretend I didn't notice it.
So you would like to take a rest, or is anyone else going to do anything?
I'll
I-
give,
You were looking for Lola. You found her.
I'll give her a thumbs up.
I vote we
She smiles and gives you a thumbs up.
move elsewhere and hide because somebody else might come here.
Probably a good idea. Before we do that, is the house totally collapsed?
The house is not totally collapsed. It is partially collapsed. The corner of the building over here is what pretty much gave way underneath the weight of the enlarged mow and this horrid green hag.
So that part's collapsed. So could I rummage
That part
through?
collapsed, and the rest of the building kind of fell inwards onto it.
So would I be able to rummage through and try to loot the hag's body?
You can certainly make an attempt to find the hag's body. Make an investigation check.
Oh yeah.
Shouldn't be that hard. She was pretty big.
I have to find investigation. There we go. Oh no, I can't see the roll. Yeah.
Hang on, I gotta get my die out. Give me a sec. You, Mo, you walk up to the remains of the building. Small trails of smoke seem to be wisping up from between some of the rubble. And as you begin to root around through some of the debris, the last place that you remember seeing the hag's body, as you move pieces here and there, you can hear the slow creak and groan of the wood structure that is above you, that is kind of leaning in over this collapsed section of the building. You're not entirely certain how long it's going to stay up there, but for the moment it's holding. As you pull apart the debris, you manage to come across a bloody green limb with long, severely elongated fingernails, more like claws than nails. And as you continue to haul debris off of this newly discovered arm, you just grab it and pull on the whole body, eventually dislodging it from the debris, and you can drag it clear of the building.
Woo! Do I find anything good?
On her person, let's see, based on the previous investigation roll, yeah, you find about...
Oh, wait. I have a level of exhaustion. I don't know if that affects this.
Oh, yes, you do have a level of exhaustion, that's right. Okay, so that means we would have had to take
Weren't
the...
you going to readjust something because of did something wrong with Steve-O in the fight though?
I did do something wrong, but that doesn't impact the fact that the exhaustion should still be there.
Okay.
So as you are rummaging through her person, the only thing you manage to find is a healing potion.
Pretty good.
Han, what'd you say my parents interrupted?
As you were searching through the pockets and various like satchel that this creature had, you extract what looks like a healing potion.
Cool. I got a healing potion.
You got a healing potion.
Thanks.
If I could, I would like to try for that weird bladed cage with the hair. I would like to go
okay.
look for that in the center of the room.
Roll for investigation.
Roll for. I do not find it.
Womp womp.
As you, Theon,
Nice.
you go up to the wreckage and you see, how relatively easily Mo was able to extract what he was looking for. You start doing a similar thing. You're just grabbing pieces of debris and hauling it away, and you're actually finding, it's actually not too hard. And you grab one piece of debris, and it snaps underneath it, and you realize that there was something that was kind of holding this piece down. And this wasn't so much a piece of debris as one of the few remaining supports. Because remember when you last saw one of the cage, it was located pretty close to the center of the room, and therefore this piece of debris is relatively close to what remains of the precariously balancing structure. And as you pull on this and it snaps, you hear as the whole
I immediately back off.
wooden structure begins to creak. And as Theon is backpedaling out of this, it leans over and then just collapses into a huge heap of debris. Cloud of dust is just billowing out from this whole thing. Everyone is forced to cover their eyes and their mouth, and there's coughs all around. The remains of the hag are seemingly crushed and no longer visible. And as the dust starts to settle and eventually collect on the ground, everyone finishes their coughing, but there is one persistent cough, one that really, really starts to hack. And as Mindardus, as you look over to try and find the source of this noise, you see Lola is doubled over and she is coughing profusely. She brings up a hand to cover her mouth, and a thick black ichor is jettisoned from her mouth, and you can see it ooze out from between her fingertips before she quickly casts what's left of it off of her hand and then begins to frantically rub it against the tunic that is the filthy tunic that she's had for who knows how long.
What did she cough up? An ichor?
Just a like a
black
thick
liquid.
Yeah, a thick, dark, viscous fluid.
This stuff I saw inside the cage, inside the center of the shack. It may be connected to her in some way.
Do you think
That's
it's
the word.
like toxic or poisonous to touch?
It could be. I have no idea. I was not able to touch because every single bar on that was bladed. Couldn't put your fingers in there. But it fell over.
I call over to her and ask her if she's okay.
She looks up at you, and you can see that in her eyes is a very genuine fear and lack of understanding. And she just looks at you and looks back at her hand. I don't know. What is happening to me?
What is she, GLaDOS? GLaDOS?
Is she still
I didn't realize I was doing a GLaDOS impression.
Is she still spitting up ichor?
Nope, she seems to have stopped for the time being. It appears to have been induced by the coughing fit that came on from the cloud of dust.
Okay, I don't want to press my luck here, because I didn't have to roll an acrobatics or agility check, but I would like to investigate for that bladed cage again.
As he does that, I'm gonna throw a fire thing at the house and say, I'm making an executive decision. Let's get the fuck out of here.
So as Theon, as you walk back up to the now large pile of debris, it is taller than you, and it is just an amassment of broken wood and various contents of the building in a very, very large heap. And where there were only a few small smoke trails that happened to be wisping up from some of the ruined structure, a gout of flame just bursts and cascades across some of the dry timber and thatch that formed the roof that kind of landed on top of this entire pile of refuse, and is instantly thrown in. It conflagrates into flame because it just given the nature of the dry brush that it was, and the whole thing starts to burn pretty profusely. You turn your head to the side to see the source of this, and you see a small gnome with pink hair and one arm extended with a small wisp of smoke that is extending off of his palm.
I quickly shout out. I go, "Are you crazy?" And then
Yes!
I run over to Lola and check to see if anything additional has happened after that.
Make a medicine check. As you examine Lola and you take a look at her hand and you look at what remains of what she appears to have coughed up, because you didn't actually see this, but you see now, looking at her hand, that it does have this dark smear on it there, with a horrid smell coming off of it. The hand itself bears many old scars, as do her forearms, her feet, her legs, and basically any piece of exposed skin you can see bears some kind of cut or mark of some kind. And you make an intelligence check.
your your rolls.
Oh, boy.
Dude, my rolls suck. That's why he's asking me to roll again.
As you are turning over her hands and kind of looking at her face, you notice that the finger that you scraped against the inside of the cage, it's healed over pretty fast. And there's a little tiny mark where it's healing over.
Wait, what with the cage?
Because you were the only one to investigate that
Yes.
cage that you were looking for inside the house before it collapsed. And as you were investigating it, you grazed yourself on the inside edge of
Correct.
one of the bars of the cage.
It's
so
already healed?
The place that grazed you is healed over by now. But there is a slight darker discoloration where the cage nicked you. And it is vaguely reminiscent of the many more and much darker cuts and marks that cover Lola. Urun, who is only just coming to consciousness now, also happens to bear a number of these marks on his arms and his legs and any piece of exposed skin that you can see there, but Lola's are far greater in number and apparently have been happening for much longer because the scars are in different states of healing. More of that dark fluid is running out from the corner of her mouth, and as you are investigating her, she's just looking at you, transfixed, and you see that same frightened expression and just genuine concern. She looks at you and just states very plainly, "Am I gonna die?"
I have no clue.
I say, let's find out while we're walking away from here, where we're all likely to die.
I agree. Let's go ask the elves for help.
Urun gets up at this point and says, that's the best idea I've heard all day. And the group of you then walk through
Who's carrying the treasure chest?
That would have, well, that was previously Mendardus and Theon, but Theon had to let that go to go and investigate Lola, so currently Mendardus is dragging it through the dirt.
I'll pick up the other side of it.
Thank you.
Alright.
Or the entire thing.
No, just the other side. I'm
Oh.
exhausted. I am
Oh, that's right.
exhausted. So I'll help you with one side of this.
Alright, who's going first?
Who's on first? I'd much rather not be first.
I guess I will.
Alright. Theon is
I'll-
up first,
Be second.
and then Pedwin, followed by Urun.
I guess I'll take third or fourth.
Fourth is Morris. And Mendardus has to be beside him, and Lola is taking up the rear.
Maybe she should be in front of us. Maybe Mendardus and I should be back.
Alright,
like
so
that. I like
Mendardus
that
and Morris,
idea.
do you want to be at the rear?
Yeah, I think that would work better.
Put the jingly jangly chest at the back.
Alright, Jingly Jangly Sass is at the back.
We're not a target.
No, totally not. Who would want the guys with all the loot?
All I know is that I'm gonna be able to run faster than them. Well, maybe. Depends on if I have to roll for an acrobatics check.
If you run away and we live through it, you best hope we don't find you.
Let's march back the way we came.
As
I
you are heading backwards towards what you know is the illusion, it looks very different from this side. It doesn't appear to be the bramble that it was before. Instead, it is simply just an amalgamation of dark and light gray, kind of shimmering. It almost looks like the surface of a liquid, but it's just very, very gently oscillating, and is almost a spectral, wispy mist that peels up off of the surface itself, almost like evaporation, but the whole surface is vertically oriented, and this mist, or this wisps are lifting off in your direction.
I give the building a couple more firebolts for good measure.
Very well. You send a few more blasts of flame out towards the rubble, and there's loud as they cascade against more of the building, which immediately begins to go up into burning more and more vigorously. The smoke that's rising up is filtering through the trees, and there is no light left coming through the canopy. It is pure dark.
Let's
You can
keep
only
walking.
All right, as the party moves forward. Oh, that's weird. Why can't I? What? I just can't seem to select anybody right now, which is weird.
They can select me.
Well, good.
Do you still have the select thing selected, not the
Oh,
pan
oh.
view?
No, I'm stupid. I know what I did. I was on the wrong thing. All right, so as the group is moving back through this illusion, they pass by the raised surface, or the raised pathway that they had previously scaled to view out over what they thought was a different part of the forest, or seemingly a different part of the forest, different plant life, different creatures, a slightly different elevation, and seemingly not affected by the same kind of influence that had been causing this area to be so hostile and inhospitable. As the group continues forwards, a path opens up to their left, but in front of them is another oscillating gray liquid surface, like the one that they just walked through.
What?
Apparently, the woods are changing again.
Did we notice that surface before the last time we came through?
Nope.
No, because previously you guys jumped across the gap.
which was down here.
Yes. You jumped across
Oh,
that.
you're
and
talking about right here.
that is where that similar
Oh, so it's here.
magical projection is.
Right here, you mean?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant up here to the north.
Nope, that is a pathway that extends further off into the forest
But-
that no one knows where it goes.
But we walked up through here the last time. Did we not notice the shimmering gray right here?
You did not.
Okay. Well,
Does anyone want to go through?
uh,
I have an excellent memory for direction. Don't worry, I know exactly where we're going.
On that note, Pedwin, you recall that based on the location where the group jumped across that gap of that previously kind of scum-covered small pool of water, based on where this projection is, you'd be walking directly out into another one of those clouds.
Fire!
Oh no.
Do you shoot a firebolt?
Yep.
All right.
I'm gonna.
Pedwin
Move back a
extends his
little bit.
arm once again, and a firebolt cascades off of it and courses through the gray field itself. Where the magic hits, the illusion is actually burned away, and that whole field begins to just slowly dissipate in a very thin, wispy, white-gray magical flame that just that grows outwards from the puncture of the firebolt as it ripped through it, and the illusion appears to be dispelled.
Can I Arcana that shit?
Certainly, roll an Arcana check. Theon, you can as well.
Can I use my dice?
Yes, go for it.
Oh boy.
oh gee, a 20. Who would have guessed?
That is 12.
All right. It's simple enough. Theon, you're not entirely certain how this enchantment works, but Pedwin, you recognize that it is an illusion enchantment. It's not a particularly powerful one. It is based off of, or it's seemingly based off of hallucinatory terrain, but it's a much, much smaller scale.
Can I tell what's creating it?
In your experience, this spell is something that persists. Even if something disrupts the illusion, the illusion would just reform around it. The fact that this is gone now, you have an inkling that this was probably put in place potentially by the creature that was buried in the rubble that the group of you just left.
Oh, really? Well, let's continue on through the now fire-blasted methane clouds.
That being said, the firebolt, as it went through the illusion, burned much brighter as it tore through the cloud. And this being a bit of a thicker cloud, it eventually came to a pretty sizable flame. And so a lot of it has actually been consumed as part of this. And you can see that the mist is definitely starting to dissipate now. More of that breeze is occasionally permeating this region of the forest, which, in the entirety of your time in this place up until now, this breeze had not hit this place. The air was distinctly stagnant here, and it is now slowly starting to move more.
Does that mean it's safe to cross?
You are certainly welcome to find out.
Let's find out.
I do not go first.
Baby, big baby, I'll go first.
All right, Pedwin, as you walk out into the cloud, your eyes begin to water under exposure to whatever is still hanging in the air. I need you to roll a Constitution saving throw.
I still want to like blast it in front of me. I don't want to walk into it.
Oh, you said you walk out there.
Pussy.
All right, so a few more firebolts later, and there is no discernible mist hanging in the air.
Babies.
I'm just gonna move you out of the way for a second. Okay. As Pedwin, as you walk out there, you happen to see another large pond covered in a similar kind of scum that was on the previous pond before a torch was dropped into it that
Burn it.
caused the whole thing to just go up.
Burn it.
The way look clear.
The way looks clear. Where
Let's
are you going?
Let's clear on south down south.
Let's go.
Let's
So you're
get
going
out of
back the
here.
way you came?
Yep.
Tally-ho.
Very well. So where are you guys going to backtrack to?
I vote we backtrack to the river and the
Okay.
little cave next to the river, or little hidden area next to the river.
How about we backtrack to this area here? Because we never killed that water creature.
Yeah.
What
Wait,
area?
what area did you
Yeah, I
Right
vote
here.
this one too.
pick? Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
We backtrack to there.
All right, so the party backpedals a little bit. It takes about 45 minutes or so, and there are definitely yawns along the way. It is certainly starting to get pretty late. The party collects itself in a small alcove that where the density of the trees is a little bit lighter, and you can start to actually see small patches of very, very dark blue and violet night sky, the occasional star or small patch of cloud drifting by through your field of visibility. But the group finds itself seated in the dark, in the dirt, in this small clearing.
Can I open my chest now?
Your chest? You
you-
mean our chest?
Sorry, slip of the tongue.
Is Mindardus an elf?
Mindardus is an elf.
You greedy elves. Worse than dwarves, I tell you.
Mindardus opens up the chest, and as he does, there is what appears to be a small blue thread as he opens up the lid of the chest, which was
Rip.
seemingly connected to both the top of the lid on the inside and the inside of the box on the chest. And as it opens up, this thread is elongated very, very rapidly and then snaps and actually kind of it kind of disintegrates into sparks, and these sparks actually then dampen into smoke, which coalesces above the chest into a small orb, which then solidifies into a very, very perfect sphere before vanishing.
Why is somebody measuring from me? Who is that? I don't like this.
Does that look like a divination spell or an alarm spell?
Theon and Pedwin roll an Arcana check.
12 total.
Frankly, fucking anybody who wants to roll Arcana can roll Arcana.
I want to roll Arcana.
I got a 12 again.
Arcana.
Damn it, dude.
Oh, a 4. Ugh.
Of the
Yep,
worst
I don't know
fucking
what it
magic
is.
user ever.
Why'd you roll Arcana twice?
These rolls.
Because the other one was for the previous one.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a second Arcana roll. Man, Drac, your rolls tonight.
It's my
It's rough,
rolls all
man.
the time, man.
Rough.
Rough.
So as this sphere coalesces, Mindardus, you have only a limited knowledge of how magic works, but what you do know, you know very well. And you know nature, you know creatures, you are trained to interact with animals in the wild, and your senses are very, very keen. And as this thing is beginning to fade, you swear that you see another smaller shape emerge on the surface of the sphere as it begins to fade out. And it's like an ellipse or an oval. Hang on, let me just draw it out. Oh, that's a way thicker line than I intended. Basically looks like that.
Dino.
I knew someone was going to make that joke.
I was actually gonna.
So it's very tapered at the ends, like almost to points, like very, very. I'm glad I got rid of it. So you swear you see what looks almost like a vertical slit show up on that sphere before the whole thing just fades away.
And so, no one knows what that was?
As you, Mandardus, as you look down after seeing this, you look into the chest, and there appears to be a few different things in there. One appears to be a very fine white and almost has a kind of slight iridescent, almost like what the hell's the term for that? Chiffon, I think it is. But there is a very, very pristine white glistening robe that is sitting in this chest. It looks immaculate, and it has a almost like a slight purplish kind of lavender or lilac hue to the whole thing. As you move that aside, there is a much, much dirtier, dingier white robe beneath that is just plain white. It seems vaguely familiar, but you can't place it off the top of your head. And beneath that is a what appears to be a velvet pouch with a kind of fine gold braided rope that binds the top of it, ending in small tassels.
Alright, I picked that pouch up and jingle it.
As you jostle the pouch, you hear what sounds like quite a few coins. And something else that doesn't sound like a coin.
Will I open it up and take a look?
You open it up, and there is a collection of gold and very, very bright. It's not silver, it's brighter than that, and a little whiter. And there's just a collection of these coins.
Platinum.
And as you root your hand through it, your fingers bump into rounder, more irregular objects. And as you fish them out, you find one large red ruby and two smaller purple precious stones as well, which you recognize as amethysts.
Cool. Do we have like a group treasurer or something?
Nope. Would you like to be?
Sure, I guess.
Always trust an elf with my money.
Wait a minute. You bring up a good point.
Well, I'm happy to let someone else handle it.
Fine. I'll take it since I bought the horses and I have shown my non-greediness.
Generosity.
Thank you.
What the my anti-greediness. It's at this point that Theon, you recall snatching a small pouch off of a table by the side of the fire pit.
Oh yeah, that's right.
If you want to open that.
Can I jingle it as well first?
You jingle it as well, and you do not hear coins, but you do hear the clacking of a collection of hard, small objects.
I grab 2 pouches.
You grab 2 pouches?
I grab 2.
The same contents are in both pouches.
The same contents are in both.
You
Well,
shake
a
harder,
similar
they
sound, I should
explode.
say. A similar sound emits from both pouches.
Okay, I am going to place it down and Mage Hand and lift out what's inside it.
As you place your 2 pouches down, you
They fly away.
summon.
They fly away.
Not a snitch.
You open your
bites you.
hand, and a spectral version of your hand seems to coalesce around your own form and then drift forward off of your hand, as it's mirroring the actions of your actual hand. This now spectral floating version, it reaches into and fastens its fingers around one of the objects in the bags and pulls it out, and there is a similar small purple stone to what, well, I don't know if Mendardus showed anybody, but you recognize a small amethyst.
Ooh.
Yeah, I gave the pouch to Big Mo.
I have the pouch.
Ah, yes. The pouch is on
How
Morris.
should I add that? How should I add that to my inventory? Pouch of amethyst.
You could just say, you could say like velvet purse, because what you found is a purse that contains roughly 800 gold worth of gold coins and platinum coins.
800 gold coins and 800 platinum coins?
No, the total value is 800 gold, and it is a collection
platinum.
of gold and platinum coins.
Okay, so should I just add it as 800 gold?
Yeah, you might as well.
Okay, so 825 is what I have now.
There
What
was also
we
in there
have.
2 small amethysts and 1 medium-sized ruby. Theon, as you mage hand into the other bag, I'm assuming you're doing this,
Yes.
you pull out a small yellow-orange bead that you immediately recognize as amber. And your mage hand then puts it back inside the bag, where it lands very softly with a light tap as it lands on similar objects, which you can only assume is more amber.
So, and the other, realizing that the same things are going to be in both bags because I shook them both and put here, I just take the other bag and dump that one in my hand.
Well, the 2 bags contained amethysts and ambers. So
How
whichever
many
bag
of
you...
each, then?
Hmm?
How many of each?
There are 8 of each. And
8.
by your rough estimate, they would value 250 gold apiece. Each bag.
But I can't convert that right now, can I?
You can't convert that
I
into
don't.
raw gold.
I don't
right
see a
now,
bank
though.
around. Do you?
No, I don't. But maybe I could like.
It's
I
at this
don't
moment
know.
a bank sprouts out of the earth. No.
I'll exchange it for you. Just give me a second.
Does it weigh anything?
Yeah, we'll say collectively they weigh half a pound.
And that was 8 amethyst and 8 amber per, or 4?
Yes, 8 amethysts and 8 amber per bag. Or, so, no, 8 amethysts in one bag, 8 amber in another bag, and each bag is 250 gold, roughly in value.
Pouches.
You said there was a robe as well.
There is a robe. Well, there are 2 robes in the chest.
2 robes in the chest.
Yes, one of them is just a dirty, dingy white robe, and the other is a very, very nice, pristine robe.
Does that white robe look like anything that I may have come into contact with?
As you pick up you mean the clean one or the dirty one?
The white one. Are they both white?
Well, no, the other one is like iridescent and like purplish.
I put on the dirty one. I
As-
strip her in front of everybody and put on the dirty one.
Before anyone else can investigate the chest, there is already a half-naked gnome that has discarded most of his clothes and reaches underneath to grab the smaller, dirtier white robe and toss it over himself. It is meant for a regular human, so it's way, way too big for you. Theon, you immediately recognize it as a robe of someone that belongs to the Gleaming Path. And now that you get to see it at full length, you recognize this as well, Mendardus. In
I
fact, wait, no,
take- I
everybody's seen
take,
members of the Gleaming Path.
I take
Remind me who the
Uro
Gleaming
and
Path are?
Fast as a challenge, and I
Just-
grab the other one and strip down just as fast to try to put that one on.
Oh dear God.
Okay. All right, we'll get to that in a second, Theon. The Gleaming Path were the individuals that manned the temple. They seemingly were the ones that kind of oversaw the administration of anything to do with the spiritual or humanitarian. The individuals you saw that were making proclamations against the misuse of magic when you first entered Mason's Rest were wearing similar white robes. There was an individual with the white robes when you were first questioned, when you were brought to the courts after breaking into Orbholder Ray's house. So they've been pretty ubiquitous throughout the cities that you've seen.
I'm
You
gonna
remember the
I'm gonna say now I can infiltrate them. Infiltrate the enemy.
as Pedwin, as you come to this realization that no one could stop you now, not if you wanted, and you begin to formulate this plan of how you're going to get yourself into the Gleaming Path, you notice that Theon has finished putting on this very, very finely crafted purplish white robe. What little light permeates in through the canopy of the forest is just a little. The light that strikes the robe, it actually just kind of creates a slight sheen or glimmer across the surface of the robe, and Theon and Pedwin, you get the sense this is probably a magical item.
Which robe?
The robe that Theon just put on, it was
Ah.
the one on top, and then you grabbed the one underneath it. Morris, while all this is going on, you can't see a damn thing. It is very, very dark now because it's pretty late at night. There are no light sources. You've heard a bunch of conversation.
I'll just go to sleep.
So you at one point in the night, you just had this soft object just shoved up against you. And as you kind of grabbed it and fumbled around with it, you realize that somebody just handed you a whole bunch of money. You're like, this is an awesome night so far. You hear light conversation between Urun and Lola as the two of them are talking to each other. And Mo, you just roll over and fall asleep.
Can I overhear their conversation? Think with them thinking I'm asleep, snore a little, fake snoring.
Make a what should this be? Make a performance check.
Oh.
Oh boy, and it's with disadvantage.
It is with disadvantage.
I shouldn't have snored. I should have just stayed quiet.
So as you just lie down in the dirt and you let out a really big yawn, a bug flies into your mouth, and you just begin coughing immediately, and you sit upright, and most people kind of take a little bit of a reel back as you just bolt up from the ground, and those that can see you just see you kind of flailing and coughing until eventually you and this little tiny bug just flits away into the night.
Okay.
Lola and Arun just kind of shift a little further away from you and continue their low conversation between each other. As you are drifting off to sleep, you swear you can hear Lola saying thank you. And Arun is quick responding with, "Hey, don't mention it."
Hey, don't.
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Okay,
It's sleepy time, I think.
I agree.
All right, is everybody going to sleep, or is there anything else that's happening tonight?
I'm going to sleep.
I'm sleeping in my comfy new robes.
All right. Everyone starts to drift off to sleep. There is no campfire to worry about alerting any potential passersby. And the whole group goes to sleep. No one's staying up to watch.
Too
Oh.
tired.
Too tired.
As everyone is just the snores begin to.
I make sure when I go to sleep, I sit on the bag of gold. What I think is
Alright.
gold. So it's under
Okay.
my weight.
So you're like on top of the purse.
Mhm.
Okay. As everyone is catching some well-earned rest, Pedwin, you hear a voice that begins to permeate its way into your dream. Pedwin.
Oh
As you
god,
are
they're coming for me.
As you are slowly roused from your slumber, you can still hear this voice. In fact, you hear it really clearly, but there's nobody around.
People.
The pod people are coming for me. I retreat into a corner with my fire in my hand at the ready.
As you bring up the fire in your hand, you catch the reflection of something glinting that is
Not
standing
gold.
in the alcove from where the group of you are sleeping. And it's at head height, and there's two of them. And their eyes is what you realize, because you with dark vision, even though it's very, very dark here, you do see, and you make out distinctly, the form of Aya.
Hey! Yeah.
However, she isn't actually in her disguise. I don't have a model for that at the moment. But you recognize Aya because it's the Aya you know. It is a red-skinned tiefling with rust-colored hair, horns that curl out along the sides of her head and just underneath her ears. She is clad in the leather armor that you know her to be sporting, has seemingly no difference from any time you've seen her, except she has that book in her hand. And
The book I sold.
Nope, she has her book, the one that has that very, very dark black cover with no
Okay.
writing on it.
Thank goodness, I thought you were a pod person.
I'm not a pod person.
Well, of course you're not.
Come on.
Tieflings can't be pod people. Everybody knows that.
No. You're a pretty smart one, Pedwin. But I know a few things you don't. I was taught them. I was shown them.
Okay, you're getting a little creepy.
And I can show you.
Can I keep my pants on, please?
Certainly. This way. And she kind of curls one finger towards you in like a kind of come hither motion as she begins to backpedal and step outwards further away from the group.
Beyond all reason, I feel strangely drawn towards Aya.
Pedwin, you stand up and you walk forward, kind of surveying the area. As you go to grab your things, you see Aya's head kind of pop around the corner again. You won't need those. Only the essentials.
I check my pants. Okay,
You
I'm
check your
good.
pants.
I'm good.
So are you gonna drop your bag then?
She says so.
All right. As the two of you leave, you head northward, back actually in the direction that you came. And Aya is seemingly completely unfazed by this. She's actually walking around almost as if she knows directly where she's going. They walk past the pools that the group of you previously exposed, through the gap where the illusion was that you burnt away earlier today, down the walkway, and straight through the illusion that the group discovered earlier. And the two of you are standing at the ruins of the building that you found earlier. You can see a small section of the debris has been cleared away, and what looks like a cauldron has been hauled out. And you see Aya as she walks up, and she's just briskly strolling up to this very calmly. And she dips her finger in what's left of the contents of the cauldron. And she walks back over towards you. I was shown so much. And she wants to see you. My teacher. Do you want to meet her?
I'm gonna need a name.
She is, and what comes out of her mouth are sounds, but you don't recognize the language that she speaks. But what she says is, Omen Hiawel. She who knits the stars.
Does that sound familiar to me?
Make an Arcana check.
14.
In your studies at Farmatting, you learned about a lot of what produces magic. And there's a variety of sources of magic. Many things can actually be the wellspring for this force. There are demons and fiends that make pacts with individuals, but this doesn't sound like any of them. Demons normally guard their names very closely. Doesn't sound like a fey creature either. And it doesn't sound like any god that you've heard of, but the way she speaks of this, it does certainly sound like a god. And she begins to trace up her arm with the finger that she dipped in that fluid, drawing a series of intricate symbols. And everywhere that her finger runs across her skin, instead of the dark red of this near pitch black area, it is white. It is bright, very slightly luminescent, this trail that she leaves. And she begins to write up and down her arm, her face, every piece of exposed skin that she has. She actually starts to tear regions of her clothing off in a frantic attempt to continue to scrawl out this script that you don't recognize. And as she stops, she breathes in and inhales and opens her eyes and looks at you, and her eyes are, which normally don't have any kind of pupil, are displaying a similar kind of iridescence and a very, very lightly luminescent quality. And she opens them and breathes in and says, "So do you want to meet her?"
Can I just say out of character that was extremely creepy and very well done?
Oh, thank you.
Yes, I do.
As you say that, the midsection, because she tore away some of her clothing and across her midsection, you can see some of the exposed abdomen. That, where kind of her lower half and her upper half meet right at her waist, it splits in half. And her upper half shifts to the left, her lower half shifts to the right. It's not a cut, but it's like an elongation, very, very rapidly, and her whole body is twisted and contorted into an S shape, which forms into a full circle, slamming shut, and then a kind of film or opaque layer of a kind of deep magenta peels back away over a circular aperture in the space in front of you. And when you look through it, you see what you see doesn't make sense. You see huge collections of stars. There are some that are incredibly distant, but there are also brightly colored tendrils of gas, and you're having a lot of difficulty understanding what it is that you're seeing. Your mind immediately recognizes a plane shift, but you have no idea what's on the other side. Make an Arcana check.
Natural 20.
when you look through it, your mind immediately starts to reel through your knowledge of other planes. And this doesn't strike you as there's no inner plane here, there's nothing elemental about this. This has got to be one of the outer planes. This is normally the realms that are attributed only to the gods, and they aren't even fully understood to be physical places so much as manifestations of thought and ideas. And it's an area where what is real begins to be a very fuzzy definition. And you definitely realize that what you're staring at is the entrance to another plane. And once again, Eo's voice permeates your head. Welcome.
I say I was 2 seconds away from getting the fuck out of here, but now I'm interested, and I jump in.
All right. Peduin, as you leap into the portal, your vision from what you only saw before is a very kind of porthole view of this other place. It immediately fills your entire field of vision, and you are only vaguely aware of the aperture closing behind you, as what is out and around you is an immense starscape. It extends on as far as you can see, and it is in every direction. There are huge clusters of stars in various arrangements of spirals or just irregular wisps hurled off into the darkness. There are massive colored clouds that just permeate through the area. But closer by to you, what you see hunks of land, like big, huge mountains just rolling by you, hurtled by some unknown force. And these, as they collide into each other, you see them shift and morph, and they just one becomes an enormous storm of ice that just begins to whirl and whip and scatter in every direction. And the second hunk of land just crumbling away into sand, which then burns up and disappears and is no longer seen. And there just seems to be this constant roil and chaos around you that doesn't make any sense. And as you kind of hurtle through this, you're vaguely aware that you're drifting closer and closer to a small piece of land. And as you get closer and closer to this piece of land, you see a very tiny formation of rock. On top of it, a small patch of grass and a little tree that bursts out of it. It's a strangely normal image, given where you are. And as you land on this, there is sitting a figure in a meditative pose who is just lightly resting, barely disturbing the grass that they sit on. Most of their body is covered in light fabric and cloth, but what skin you see is a very dark gray, almost like slate or obsidian. They have white, slightly silver hair that curls down from their head. Their eyes are closed, their hands pressed against each other in focus. As your feet set down on this moat of earth.
I'm just amazed at your descriptions.
Thanks. The figure very quietly, but given that there's very little sound right now, you can still hear this but a whisper. I certainly didn't expect to encounter anyone else just yet. And the eyes of this individual open up, and they are a deep green flecked with gold as they look straight at you. And the hands come down and press against the ground as this figure brings himself up to their fullest height. And you recognize an elf. In fact, you recognize a drow. But the drow that you've heard of are vicious, and this one seems rather well-mannered.
I wave hello.
The figure smiles and waves hello to you. I assume this is the first time you've been to Limbo.
Well, there was a party once at school. Got a little crazy.
The figure chuckles for a moment. I like you. But somehow I don't think you're here to see me.
Who are you?
My name is Astra. You are?
What? What? You're silly.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's his character from my campaign. Whisper,
Yep.
whisper.
For those that don't know, Astra is my character in Joe's campaign. And I just decided to drop him in here for the hell of it.
For the hell of it.
Astra, as the two of you are having this conversation, Pedwin, you notice that the land that you're sitting on, it wasn't really solid as you were moving up to it. It just kind of tapered down into a point that seemed to be very slowly kind of crumbling. And now that the two of you have been having this conversation, you notice that the land itself is starting to shrink very slightly. And Astra notices this as well, and resumes his position in the center of the island, and he sits down again and clasps his hands. As he begins to close his eyes and concentrate, he says to you, "And as much as I would enjoy getting to know you, I'm afraid I must maintain my concentration here. Besides, I think someone is here to see you." And as you turn on a heel, Pedwin, standing before you once again is Aya. And she still has that intricate writing that's scrolled across her skin. And she reaches for you and clasps your shoulder and says, "Come on," and pulls you upward, and you are hurtled, you are thrown at incredible speed. And where there were distant points of light before, you are heading towards them. They are getting larger and larger by the second. And as you're thrown towards them, the images seem to distort and shift. And where it was nothing but homogeneous points of light before, it began to distort and form a somewhat organic shape. And a voice that you've never heard before, louder than you can even understand, booms through your head. "Now let's begin." And your vision goes dark. The last thing before your consciousness disappears is you hear that same voice. "Now, child of light, you have moved a point. You must add one." And you hear Aya's voice respond with a simple, "Yes, mistress."
Ooh, mistress.
Honos, you are pulled very, very suddenly. Your consciousness torn from its previous location. You hurtle through darkness. There are streaks of light and energy that cascade around you, and you are vaguely aware of a hand that grips you underneath your underarm and pulls and drags you through this. It's a violent and horrifying experience, given how suddenly it racks you.
Oh boy, not again.
You hear a voice in response to your question out loud. "Again?" Before you are thrown hard against the dirt. As you look around, and it is really dark where you are. But as you take in your surroundings, there appears to be a large pile of rubble immediately to the side of you, Oh, we don't have an avatar for your character, do we?
No, just give me any old guy or any guy-looking guy.
All right, give me a sec here, guys.
I have the one where I photoshopped everything else off.
Okay, you're not wearing armor, are you? Then I will make you this guy for... no, I shouldn't do that. Okay, I will make you this person.
We
All
get to
right,
see what he's doing right now.
You can actually, if you scroll over on the map, you can see the person that I just threw down for him.
The weird hooded figure.
That's it.
That looks like the groundskeeper from Harry Potter.
What,
With the
Mr.
cat.
Filch?
Yeah.
There's only one person with a cat in this game. I don't know. Maybe I'll make somebody else with a cat somewhere. Okay, and you selected. All right, there, done. Sorry about the delay. So Honos, you are thrown hard to the dirt. It is almost pitch black, but there are a few pieces of still burning wood that seem to be part of this pile of debris that is giving off a passable amount of light. You are barely able to kind of get a sense of the fact that you are in a wooded area. It's very, very late right now, and there are a slew of footprints that leave this area. All right. You find yourself a piece of the debris that hasn't yet completely collapsed, and you kind of position yourself near enough to it for it to form a rudimentary shelter. And you try and find some solace to pass the evening. As morning begins to break through the canopy, there is a little bit of birdsong and the sound of rushing wind through trees. And just, the day is slowly beginning, very, very slowly, but you get the feeling that you're getting up around just after the crack of dawn. There's just enough light permeating through that the day is just beginning. And Morris, as you wake up, you definitely find yourself feeling a little bit more powerful. You
Yeah.
reflected over your experiences over the course of the night and all the battles that have brought you here, and you feel like you've
Hit level 5?
yeah, for the sake of brevity, you feel like you've hit level 5, whatever that is.
Yeah. Time to restore everything.
Everyone's hit dice, you regain half your expended hit dice, you regain all your hit points, all expended spell slots,
Shit.
all sorcerer points, everything. You get everything back, all the stuff. The things, you get them back.
Does it take me
I
some time
got
to
a
do?
level 2, right?
And yes, Theon, you hit level 4 as well. So feel free to, if you're going to roll for HP, roll for HP. I want to see it.
I'm not gonna roll, I'm just gonna take it.
Certainly. I'll be right back, guys.
User left your channel. Channel switched.
Mm-hmm. No, your apprentice did not come with you. It looks like you'll have to find a new one. Okay, so who's your apprentice? Oh, is this a character from your campaign? Okay, just give me a name. Well, actually, no. You know what? I suppose I can't. You can't really give me that. Okay. Can you give me a description of this person? I won't do any characterization for them, but I'll incorporate them somehow. Okay. Olethea? All right. Olethea. Would you have any ability to know where she is, regardless of her location? Okay. No. All right. Well, for the sake of this, we will say that when you check it, it does indicate that your apprentice is somewhere within its range. Yeah. Okay. Now, is there a range on this detector of yours? Can it be blocked in any way? All right. So it's a. Okay. Well, as you kind of reflect on it, you do sense that it's detecting your apprentices somewhere. Alrighty. Well, can you just, for the sake of making this easy, I'm gonna just make you bump into them in a little bit. We'll say that you followed the tracks. Cool. Okay.
Trying to
Channel
figure
switched.
out my new
User joined your channel.
Howdy.
cantrip and shit.
Oh.
All right. I really need to take a leak. So if anybody else wants to take a leak, we'll take a small break here.
That's probably a good idea because I'll start taking one like every 30 minutes, like clockwork here. in a bit.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why Giles' mic is muted, but when if he's listening, you could take a break for a bit, dude. All right, I'm going away for a moment.
I'm not gonna roll because my